Rise and shine, superstar. It's your favorite light coach, MB, and today is a great day to be alive, and it's Wednesday. You already know why it's a great day to be alive. No, not because it's hump day. We don't think about that, right? Because we know days off in this tribe. I don't know what other tribes you might be in where y'all celebrating hump day because it's closer to Friday, but we are no days off because we are living our purpose, and every day is a blessing. But it's a great day to be alive because you're still here. So stop what you're doing, comment below, and scream at the top of your lungs. Come through. If you're thankful that God woke you up this morning, why should you be thankful? Because gratitude is the absolute best way for you to start your day. And if you're feeling down, you're feeling tired, you're exhausted, you're worn out, it's just one of those days where you want to stay in bed, get up. Get up. God didn't take a day off. He ain't going to let you stay in bed. You have purpose in you. You just got to figure out what it is. So whatever you're going through right now, don't let it take you down. Don't let it put you in the grave. You're stronger than it. You have more power than it does. Don't give your power away. Step up, stand up, get up, and let's go. And don't make a permanent decision today based off of a temporary situation, because you're going to look back on this day in life and say, you know what, it wasn't that bad. I'm so glad that I stood up and I faced it and I overcame it. And it did make me stronger. All right, tribe. Y'all ready for key number 2? So yesterday and Monday, we talked about planning for success and planning for setbacks. That was all key number 1, right? Plan. Plan is the key number 1. Key number 2 is plant. So today we're going to talk about part A of the planting key, which is planting the work seed. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been a farmer or if you know somebody who does farming or gardening or anything like that, but you know, for a successful garden, we got to go back to day 1. They had to plan, right? They had to plan the ground. How did they do that? And prepare the ground. Well, they cleared it out. They got all the rocks out. They got all the weeds out, all the sticks and all this other stuff that got there from the off season. Then they created their rows of whatever they're going to put, wherever they're going to put it, and they made it nice and neat. Then they planned for the setbacks. What's a setback? You got birds, squirrels, worms, anything that can come up there and try to take your food out before it gets a chance to actually become all that you want it to be. So they plan for that. Some people set up chicken wire fences to keep the rabbits and stuff out. Some people have pesticides and things to keep the bugs off. But whatever it is, they plan for the setback. And they planted enough seed so that if something did happen to one of them, there was still more to go. So today we are talking about planting the work seed as one of our keys to that prosperous life that you keep looking at, like you looking at it. But you can have it. You know, you don't have to go window shopping for your prosperous life. You can have it. You can actually walk across the street, open the door, walk into the store and say, hey, I need that get that prosperous for me. I need to come up off of it. You can do that because that's yours. You just got to do what it takes to get there. And that's what's causing you so many issues. You haven't been doing what it takes to get there. Or you did do it and you weren't doing it consistently. So today we're going to plant this work seed. Napoleon Hill said, patience, persistence, and perspiration are the keys to success. They make an unbreakable bond for success. So patience. Now, when you're working towards something, especially in our age, like our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-great-grandparents, they knew how to be patient. They didn't have cars. They didn't have machines that did everything for them. They didn't have phones. They didn't have microwaves. Like they had to actually sit down, sew clothes, hand wash clothes. They had to go plant their own gardens. They had to wait for the stuff in the garden to come up before they could clean it and eat it. They had to prepare the food. There was no microwave, so you couldn't stick something in the microwave from the freezer and then eat it in 10 minutes. Like they had to be patient. They knew that every season had a time. Anything that they wanted to do to get done, it took a certain amount of time. So they planned for that and they were patient. But they didn't stop. They kept going. They kept doing the work that was required through the patience period in order to get whatever it was that they set out to get. So we have to be patient, guys. We can't start doing something for 21 days and then just because the 21-day fast is over, we stop doing everything else and then still expect to get things. We can't start doing something for a month and then the second month come around and we let everybody else that's in our circle or out there on the outside or people that we're watching on social media, we can't let them take us out of our game and cause us to be like, okay, now I'm just going to sit back and be a spectator. We can't do that. Like, you have to be patient during the process and you have to keep working. That's the second thing, persistence. Be patient and know that whatever it is that you need to do to get to your prosperous life can be done, but it's going to take some work and it's going to take some time. You have to be willing to wait. Because in the right time, that's when you're going to get the prosperity and the life of your dreams. If you stayed consistent and disciplined and committed to everything that you're supposed to be doing. So be patient, then be persistent. Don't let anything stop you. You might get held up, you might get slowed down, but you can't let it stop you. Because then what's going to happen? Now you're going to have to start back over. And it's always harder to start again than it is to keep going. Did you catch that? Like, the reason why you go through spurts of, okay, I'm going to get this goal, whatever it is, I'm going to get it. And then you stop. Then it's like months before you're like, okay, I think I can do it. Let me try again. But if you would just keep going, especially in the times when it's hard, like you really, really fighting and you got to push through. If you would keep going, you're building your endurance, because that prosperity over there is going to take a lot more than what you have in this season right here. Like, people think because they are now living in abundance or they have their financial goals or whatever it is, it's going to save them from what's going on right here. If you don't address what's going on right here, you're going to take what's going on right here over to that land, and that's going to destroy that land. So you got to be patient and you got to be persistent. The gardener doesn't just go through and scoop up all the rocks and clean up all the weeds and take everything out, turn the soil over, create the rows, plant the seeds, and then not do anything until the food comes. No, they tend to the garden. They are persistently working. They got to water it because it doesn't rain every day. So they have to water the garden. They have to go through and pick up any weeds that are trying to come. They got to check the plants to see if anything is actually getting through what they planned for it not to get through. Are you getting squirrels that's coming in and eating? Are you getting birds that's coming in and eating, rabbits, other bugs? Is there something more that I need to do during this persistent time? Because I can look at it and be like, oh man, caterpillar done ate up some of my collard greens. And then you can just give the whole row away. Be like, you know what, I ain't even gonna do it. We'll try again next year. No, you can address that. You can figure out what it is that you need to do to try to prevent them from eating any more of your food. You got to be persistent. You can't just water it once and then expect everything to flourish and be fed and grow like it's supposed to just because it's outside. It's getting part of what it needs, but it also needs you to tend to it and take care of it. So you got to be persistent. You have to plant your work seed. You have to say, look, I'm going to put this work in the ground and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put this work in the ground and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put this work in the ground and I'm going to do it. And then when it starts growing, you got to go back and tend to everything that you said you were going to do. You can't just put it down and do it once or do it for a week or do it for a month and expect to get that over there, because you're not going to get it. You got to put in the work, and you have to do it consistently. You have to be persistent. When anything comes up, you have to keep going. When anybody tries to stop you, you have to keep going. When somebody says, take a break, you've been working too hard, say, no, I haven't worked hard enough. You wouldn't understand because your standard isn't where mine is. Your standard is settlement. My standard is success. And success requires persistent effort and work. You got to put the work in, guys. And then you got to be willing to perspire. Like, some of us want to go to the gym, especially women. We want to go to the gym because we want to shape our body a certain way. But then we get to the gym and we're like, No, I don't want to sweat though. Like, can we do something that's not so exhausting? So you telling me, let me get this straight. Okay, so you got the patience, right? You know that it's going to take you 3 months to try to get really close to some of the results that you want. Okay. You have the persistence. You're showing up every day. You're willing to, you know the work that you got to do, and you're willing to do it to a certain extent. The effort might not be there, but you're willing to do the work. But then you don't want to sweat. Like, you want to do the work, but you want to do the work on your terms. You want to do the work that's comfortable for you because, oh, I just got my hair done. If I sweat, then so your hair done is more important than your health done. Because you can look back on the end of your life and it might get here sooner than you wanted to, and your hair will be done in that casket, but you could have prevented it or postponed it or prolonged it had you been more focused on getting your health done. But we got to get our priorities in order. So let me add to that, Mr. Napoleon Hill. Let me add to that. So it's patience, it's persistence, it's perseverance. I'm sorry, perspiration, priorities. Priorities need to be number one. I don't know if priority or patience needs to be number one, but we need to have that in there because you're saying you want one thing, but you're not willing to give all that it takes to get it. Like, you're not willing to risk all that it takes to get it. Harriet Tubman made it to freedom, but the purpose that she was created with was to go back and save about 70 other people. Okay, so you telling me this woman from the South made it to freedom, and then she turned back around and went through the same way she came from? Like, she went back into that to get other people who was probably whining, complaining, and nagging on the way? This is ridiculous. Why we got to do you want to be free, or do you, like, what are we complaining about here? Do you want that prosperity, or do you want to stay in this pit of pain and misery and everything that's going on with you right now that you keep saying that you don't want? Like, don't complain about what it takes to get to where you want to go if you really want to go there. Plant the work seed and do the work. Embrace everything that comes along with it, because you know everything that comes along with it still isn't as glorious as the thing that you're going to get to on the other side. But you have the nerve to complain now about what you're going through. Then you have the nerve to complain about what you have to go through to get to what you want. Do the work. Don't complain about it. Suck it up. It is what it is. Like, that's not going to change. So either you want it, either it's worth it for you, or it's not. And if it's not, then don't say anything else about where you are. Don't tell anybody else about the misery and the pain and the discomfort and the sadness and the hurt and the agony, the regret, the shame, the disappointment, all of that stuff that you keep talking about. Don't tell anybody else about it, because you're choosing at this point to sit in it. When you have a choice to go through something a little bit more uncomfortable, that's uncomfortable in a different way to get to what you want over there, but you don't want to do it because it takes that much work. You got to do the work if you really want what you say you want. It's just that simple. So when you plant those seeds, and you can't just plant one seed and expect to get a full crop. The work is going to change with every phase of this process to your success. And it's not going to stop. Like, the stuff you start doing, you're going to pile on top of that. Like, it's a compound effect. It's not like I'm going to do this and then I can leave that down and pick up something else. No, you're most likely going to have to do this, keep doing this, then put something else on it if you really want what's over there. You have to keep going. Like, progress to success is the betterment of yourself along the way. It's becoming who you have to be by doing what you have to do so that you can have what you say you want to have. It's as simple as that. It doesn't, like, there's no convenience to it. There's no workaround. You can't want freedom and then say, hey, can you come get me in a first class jet or private jet and take me so that I can bypass all this other stuff to my freedom? No, you're going to have to go through the swamps. You're going to have to run away from the dogs. You're going to have to hide in the trees. You're going to have to dodge the cars and anybody else who's out there trying to take you out. If the life of your freedom is really worth it. If you're tired of working for somebody else and tired of having to show up and tired of having to ask off when you want to take vacation and tired of having to beg for extended sick days or taking off time where you can't get paid for it because you've used all your sick days, then stop working for somebody else. Work for God. Work for yourself. Live out your purpose. Because either way, you're going to have to work. It's just that one work, it gets you over there. It gets you to prosperity in every area of your life, like abundance, like utopia, like you're going to be so fulfilled. And you'll adopt a mindset that isn't a mindset of complaining. It's a mindset of gratitude. God, thank you for this obstacle because I can see the opportunity in it. God, thank you for this adversity because I can see the advantages that it's given me. What is it that you're limited at according to man's terms, but according to God's term, that's going to push you to your greatness? How are you looking at these things? What are you going through that you wish you hadn't gone through, but now that you have, you can see, oh, that's going to make me better. I'm stronger because of it, and now my story is going to help somebody else. Don't play the victim in life, because if we did that, everybody would be a victim and nobody would get anywhere. We all can have an excuse of what we're victims to. We all go through something that somebody else can look at and be like, oh my gosh, I am so, woo, I thought mine was bad. I'm so glad I'm not that over there. Everybody does. It's just that some people see it and some people hide it so well. But everybody has something that somebody else around them says, I'm glad I don't have that. Or don't even know about it. But if they found out about it, would be like, I'm glad I don't have that. Let me keep these problems right here. Do the work. Just get it done. Plant your seeds and be persistent. Be patient. And have, just do it. Sweat. Sweat a little bit. Cry a little bit, bleed a little bit. You'll do all of that. If you were in jail right now and somebody said, all you got to do to get out of jail is cry, sweat, and bleed. They didn't say how much you had to cry. They didn't say how much you had to sweat. They didn't say how much you had to bleed. But if you want to get out of jail right now, you've been here for 20 years. And if you want to get out of jail right now, just cry, sweat, and bleed. I'm sure you will find a way to do it. Maybe it would be tears of joy. Maybe you would drop down and do 100 push-ups or whatever it takes for you to start sweating. Maybe you'll nick yourself just to bleed a little bit. So if you would do that for your freedom to come back to a place that you didn't even want to be in the first place, why can't you do it for the freedom that's sitting there calling your name like it's so much better over here? You know, they say the grass isn't always greener. The grass is greener where you water it. That prosperity grass is a whole lot greener than your grass. You know why? Because you're not watering this. You're not putting in the work. Like you take up all the grass that's out there, all the weeds, and you have somebody bring in a whole new set of sod. But you don't water it. You don't fertilize it. You don't cut it. You're going to end up looking the same way you looked before they stripped the land. You got to put in the work. Nobody else can get you to prosperity for you. Only you can. You got the key. All you got to do is stick it and turn. Come on, you got a kingdom over there, right? So you walk up to a palace. Somebody gave you the key to the palace, but you don't want to sit here because it's a big key, right? Because it's a big palace. So you need 2 hands to stick it in the lock. Then you need to turn it, get back, turn it. And it takes about 12 of those turns. That's taking all of your might. You got the key to the palace, but you don't want to put in the work to get in behind the doors. What are we doing? Just put in the work. If it's worth it, put in the work. Just put in the work. So today, I just want you to think about that. Is that really worth it? Because you should have already determined on Sunday if that over there was really worth what you set out on Sunday would probably come up. Then you planned for success on Monday, and you planned for setbacks yesterday. So today you got to decide, am I willing to plant this work? And am I willing to stay patient, persistent, and am I willing to sweat for it? Am I willing to make it my priority? That's what you got to figure out. Just find out if it's really worth it for you. And if it is, then today you got to commit to, I'm going to start doing this today. If you know one task, just one task, it doesn't matter how big or small. If you know one task that you can start doing today, that if you would do every single day for the rest of this year, it will definitely get you closer to your purpose. To your prosperity and your purpose. Start doing it. Because look, get this. A lot of times we say we can't do things to get over there because we're looking at the things that we're not ready to do yet. But all we have right now is all we need. Like anything you have right now is all you need. You want to lose weight and you say, well, I can't afford a gym membership. I can't go to the gym because I don't have a car. You got a body. You have room. You have space. If you have a bed, you got enough room to do some push-ups and some sit-ups and some squats and some jumping jacks. All you have right now is all you need. You don't need any more to actually start planting that work seed. And when you start doing that consistently enough, guess what? It's going to start growing you closer to your life of prosperity. And then you'll have more things that you can add to your workload, that you can add to your work weaponry, that you can add to help you get to that life that you want. So find out if it's worth it. What can you do today? And start today. Remember, you can't wait till tomorrow because tomorrow doesn't exist. We don't know. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow or not. But if you can start today and put that work in with that one thing, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, but you commit to being consistent to that one thing, then do it if that over there is worth it to you. But you know what it is. If you don't remember anything I just said, always remember this. It's absolutely a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be great. And it's the best day to find the greatness in you. Now go out there and live the greatest day of your life.